Hello, welcome to Motor Mouth, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. And I'm Kendra.
I'm Dan.
Really?
Yep.
Awesome. Great. So we're here again in the Reading Diner, which is right here inside the Boyertown Museum at 85 South Walnut Street in Boyertown, PA. And if you'd like to contact us at the museum, you can do that by giving us a phone call, 610-367-2090, or sending us an email at mail, M-A-I-L, at boyertownmuseum.org. And we're open Tuesdays through Sundays, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And since we're in the diner, I just want to thank everyone out there who came to our last diner day on April 11th. It was our most popular diner day ever. We had over 500 people in the door. Can you believe that?
Mm-hmm. And I also got a piece of pie this time.
You did, barely.
Did. Yeah, it wasn't that
Barely.
big, but it was good.
We had 60 pies, and by the end of the day, we had 4 slices left.
4 slices.
That was it.
Yeah.
So, very popular event. If you were here in April, thank you so much for attending. We hope you had a good time. And if you weren't, shame on you, but you can come back November 7th will be our next one.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Probably a birthday cake there, maybe.
there better be. I demand it.
Her birthday.
It's my birthday this time. Last time it was your sister's.
Yep.
Now it's mine. You're going to bring my cake, right?
I'd have to buy it though.
Okay.
You don't want me to make it.
Okay. We do have some neat events coming up here at the museum that I'll just let you know about. Our next event, our May 3rd Saturday event, is going to be a cruise-in, and that's Saturday, May 16th. It's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., and it's going to be in the museum parking lot. So, and our parking lot is kind of catty corner from the museum entrance, and it's a nice big lot. It's been very recently repaved. So it's a great setting for a cruise-in, and we want to make good use of our newly paved parking lot.
Yep.
So we're going to have, it's going to be kind of a 1960s style, but that doesn't mean we only want 60s cars. All years are welcome, all makes, all models. We will be featuring the 60s cars just because it is our 50th anniversary here at the museum this year. So we're just talking about 1965 and we'll expand that to just 60s cars. But like I said, any year is welcome. We're going to have a DJ playing 60s music, and we'll have food available. So it's going to be a fun time. And that event, it's if you have a car and you want to bring it, you don't have a registration fee to pay. You just cruise in. So we hope to see you then. And our next big event then after that is going to be in June. And that is our first ever food truck fair. The truck stops here, Mobile Madness, will be Saturday, June 20th, and that's from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., again in our museum parking lot. And we have 9 food trucks that are going to be here, award-winning food trucks, all different kinds of types of foods, Southwestern, Pennsylvania Dutch, German. So we're really excited to have them here, including 2 Boyertown Auto Body Works bodied trucks, which will be neat. And they're still in operation. The one is a Mr. Softy truck. I believe
That's ice cream.
Ice cream. I believe that's a 1970s body. It's not one of the original 1958 models. But that'll be here, as well as a 1961 canteen truck that was built for the Civil Defense Department in Maine. They're coming all the way from Maine. This truck is still in use. They sell lobster rolls.
Right.
So they're going to be here in June. We're really excited for them. And there's entertainment for everybody, all ages. DJ, magician, face painting, clown. We'll have Bob Swain with his very unique bicycles. If you've been to Duryea Day in the past, you may remember him riding around the park, doing demonstrations. He'll be here. And I just want to also thank, we have a lot of great sponsors for this event. I just want to mention them because they're really good friends of ours to sponsor this event. We hope you patronize them. Adams Royal Car Wash, Eagle Pool and Spa, Everything Printing, Morphe's Auctions, Passmore Service Center, and Pat Veterinary Hospital. They are all chipping in to help make this a success, and we really appreciate them for that. So that's pretty much what we got going on the event front, and that's enough. We're busy here at the museum. But now we're talking about something totally different tonight. Totally. And Dan, why don't you introduce us to our topic of conversation this evening?
Well, tonight we're going to be talking to an owner of a Corvette, and we're going to sort of be leaning towards the preservation and the non-modification, is that a good phrase for that?
Yeah.
Of things, and why people like to keep things original. And also later on we're going to be talking about how that associates with the museum. Now we have a whole building full of material here that we try to keep original, and obviously you can't keep everything original because things wear out, like me. And so anyway, so we're going to be talking to actually a couple Corvette owners, and we have one of the Corvettes sitting right here about 20 feet from me, 30 feet. And let me introduce you to the owner, and he's sitting right here at one of our tables. He was eating a piece of cake here. Anyway, this is Joe, and he's one of the Corvette owners. And what year of Corvette do you have?
1959.
59, okay.
Yes.
And we're going to be looking at that, so let's go out and take a look. Okay, this is Joe's Corvette here. And Joe, why don't you tell us some about it? I mean, we know it's a 59 Corvette, but just give us a tour of it.
Well, as you can see from where you are, it's basically an unrestored original paint paint job on the car. Okay, the interior is the same way. I've done a complete mechanical restoration on the car to make it reliable, trouble-free. I don't have to worry about it if I want to take a nice long ride in it. That includes the entire drivetrain, exhaust, brakes, cooling system, everything.
And when you do that, you rework it, you do what? Just put new fluids in, or do you check for seals and gaskets and that sort of stuff?
No, new brake lines, new fluid, re-sleeved master cylinder for the brakes, rebuilt transmission, rebuilt rear axle, all new brake hardware. It's got drum brakes on it, of course, and they work just fine. The one concession to the modern world is I went to .5 silicone brake fluid, because it doesn't retain moisture. It's been about a dozen years, and the brake lines are still as clean as they were the day I did them. The only other concession to the modernism was I did put an electronic module in the distributor to eliminate the original points.
That's kind of underneath the cap.
Under the cap, you don't see it.
So nobody knows, but all our viewers know now.
Yeah, now you know.
That's Pertronics?
Pertronics, yes.
Okay.
Now, I did all this with the goal of having the car enjoyable and keeping in mind that this was the leading edge of technology in 1959. Okay? So now, of course, modern cars can run circles around this with braking, handling, and the modern conveniences. This has no power steering or brakes or any conveniences like that. But it is like going back in time. I called it my own personal time machine. It's like when I drive it, I'm transported back to the time when cars were much simpler. Took a different driving technique. I mean, you have to anticipate turns, slowing down. The car doesn't do things for you. You have to think ahead.
Does it track pretty much straight, or is there a little more correcting steering?
It's a little more
on?
correcting. It's a different, like as I said, it's a different driving technique. The narrow tires, these are reproduction tires, made the same way the original bi-ply nylon tires are. The tread width is only 4 inches. So you have a very narrow contact on the road. Once again, you have to keep that in mind when you're driving. You don't want to take turns too quickly, but it keeps the original character of the car intact.
It does.
So and then that's a choice. A lot of people go with more modern radial tires, modern wheels, modernize the suspension, brakes, but that takes away that that historic feel.
Right. Now, I have to admit to our viewers here that Joe and I have ridden in this car, like in the fall, a few times. And, you know, it's this Route 66 thing. If you can remember
right.
the old TV show, and what was her name, Buzz and somebody.
Buzz and Todd, yeah.
Thank you. Are cruising across country in their 66 Corvette. But I think we went to Bali one day. It's not quite the same as going across the country. But that was pretty exciting. And so really, I do remember from those rides, this does have some pep to it, we'll say.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
it certainly does. I mean, it was in the late 50s, it was a high-performance car. Mm-hmm. It was a
And
sports
so
car.
it does have the original engine. Have you done anything to the internals to make it peppier?
Okay, this engine was rebuilt. No modifications
Okay.
to increase performance. It's a base 230 horsepower, 4-barrel, 283 cubic inch engine in there with a 4-speed transmission. And they're all built to original specs.
Okay. Okay. So it's all original. Now, you said the paint's original on this, or has it
Well,
been repainted?
actually, it's not original. It's not the paint the car came from the factory with. This was painted in the early 1970s
Okay.
with the original type lacquer.
Right.
Now, if you look closely at the paint, you'll see it's got some nicks, scratches, cracks.
Right.
But it's that. It's
Don't we
that,
all?
We all do, and it's
Okay.
it's earned its patina. Let's say that it's.
Now, you said it's painted like as in the original lacquer. Now, if you
Yeah.
took it to a place to get it painted today, they would not do that.
Not likely, no. I mean,
Right.
it would be. Lacquer is nearly extinct
Right.
in the world today.
And is that because somewhat of government regulations,
Yes.
maybe? Okay. And so what would they be painting it with today?
Probably in a urethane,
Okay.
urethane paint.
So how many miles are on this?
92,000.
Okay, 92,000.
Yeah.
So it's pretty low mileage. You
Yeah.
put, what, about 100 miles a year?
Maybe a little more than that.
A little
maybe.
more.
Yeah. Maybe.
I know you do drive at the Duryea Day
Yes,
every
I do.
year.
Every year it goes at least to Duryea Day.
So, which is good. So you viewers out there, come see it at Duryea Day. So now I did a little bit of research on these cars, little bit, and I probably forgot most of the thing I did. But I noticed one thing, and from the factory, you had black wall tires, and it was optional. You could have white walls.
Yes, there were options.
And
yeah.
you know, I know we have this. Joe and I have this discussion once in a while. You know, black walls versus white walls, and black walls are so neat. But he has. But I'll tell you, these make the car, or help make the car. I really like that. Makes it stand out. So,
Yeah, the wide white walls, and by far the overwhelming majority of these cars that were sold new had the wide white walls on them.
And you figure, 1959, everybody had white walls.
Yeah.
I mean, you see pictures of old dragsters, and they got white walls
Yeah,
from
that's right.
1959. It's kind of interesting. So, any problems with it? Like, I don't know. It runs good. I assume that electricals are okay.
Yeah, runs like a fine watch,
Okay.
smoothly.
Okay.
It's a very simple car to work on. No emissions or any other electronic controls in it. Very straightforward.
Okay. So the interior is all original too.
Yes, it is.
So what do you think, Kendra? You want
I love it.
it? Okay. There you go.
Now, you were saying it was painted in the early 70s.
Yeah.
But that you didn't own it at that point.
No, I didn't. I acquired the car in 1988. However, I first saw this car back in 1972 at a Corvette show over at the Wilgo of Naval Air Station. It used to be a big show called Cavalcade of Corvettes. And I first laid eyes on it there and never forgot it. I encountered it again, I guess, back in 1986 when the then owner had it. We were at I had a 68 Corvette at the time. And we were parked next to each other at a Corvette show and at the former Penske Chevrolet in King of Prussia. And we began talking about it, and I mentioned how much I just love this car. I mean, and if he ever sold it, please let me know first. Well, several years went by, and he finally called me one day and said he was ready to sell. So I bought it and never regretted it.
Was he the original owner then?
No,
Oh,
no, no,
okay.
he wasn't. He bought the car in, I believe it was 19, late 60s. I don't remember the details now of when he acquired it, but I don't know who the original owner was. I was never able to obtain the complete history. I do know it was owned by Al Herr, the founder of Herr's Potato Chips at one time, back in the 60s.
Really?
That's kind of
So,
neat. Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
I tried to contact the Herr family and see if they would give any feedback on that, but I never did. Never was able to do
So
that.
what do you call that? Province? Is that the word? they
Provenance.
use?
Yeah.
Provenance.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you have it here and park it next to our Heinz car.
Yes.
So,
Ketchup flavored potato chips.
yeah. Now, the thing is, you mentioned it has the original drum brakes on it, original style drum
Yes.
brakes, okay? But you've also told me that people have approached you and said something about putting disc brakes on, because that is a modification that quite a few people do to these vehicles.
Yeah, a
So
lot of-
your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a common misconception that drum brakes are unsafe. They are not.
Right.
They were used for many, many years on cars. Disc brakes came into wide use pretty much in American cars in the early 70s, and then only on the front.
Right.
So while disc brakes have their advantages, they're less prone to fade. Driven conservatively, drum brakes are not a problem. The only time they can be an issue is if you have repeated high-speed stops. They can
Right.
heat up and fade, lose effectiveness. And if you drive through some deep water where the brakes become wet.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I
and then you
remember
have-
driving through flooded
deep
roads.
puddles,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Right, and then you have no brakes. But other than that, and the way I drive this car for what it's used for, the drum brakes are perfectly
Right,
fine.
right. And also, I think you mentioned suspension also, that people have, there's suspension packages you can put
Yeah.
underneath these.
Yeah, there are many aftermarket suspension kits that you can use to, you can buy to retrofit to modern suspension components.
Okay.
Now, once again, it enhances handling, steering, performance, but I'll come back to say that it, in my opinion, it ruins forever the original characteristics of the car.
Right, right. Now, if you change the suspension, you would have to change things like steering and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So it's a major project.
Oh, yeah,
It's not
it's-
just a few suspension pieces.
No, no, it'd be a
Because
great deal of
sometimes
work.
would that change your ride height and that sort of stuff?
It
or-
could. A lot of people, when they modify these cars, will upgrade the suspension and lower the suspension.
Yeah.
They'll lower the car,
Okay.
particularly in the front. You know.
Well, nice car.
Well, thank you, Dan.
Thanks for having it here, and thanks for being on the show.
Well, I'm pleased to be here with it.
Yeah,
Thanks for
and
inviting me.
I'll give you a ride home because Kendra's keeping the car.
Yeah, I do like it a lot, but
Yeah.
I'll give it back to you. It's all right.
Okay.
Well, you know, we forgot to ask you a couple things, Joe. So before we go back in the diner,
Okay.
well, can we just ask a few things? Number one, the seat belts.
Oh, the
There's
seatbelt.
seat belts in it.
Yes,
Is
there
that,
are.
Is that something you did, or was that
No,
already?
well, they're replacement seat belts, but this car did come from the factory originally equipped with seat belts.
All right.
Okay.
Corvettes were one of the few cars that were built.
Was
with
that
seat
an
belts.
option, or did all of them
All
come?
of them
Standard.
had them.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
In an era when cars simply didn't have seat belts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember, a little side note here, I remember getting the model kits when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And they always had seat belts you could put in to like customize it a little bit. That was a cool thing to put
Yeah.
seat belts on. And you know, now.
remember those, Dan.
Okay, I'm sorry. We can continue. Okay. And I was wondering about the frame. How was the frame on it again? You know, you have, the paint is, you know, really good, even for a 45-year-old paint or 40-year-old paint, but how's the frame? Was that all really good
That's an
too?
excellent question. That shows you know something about Corvettes. They're fiberglass. The bodies are fiberglass, okay? And it's most people think, it's fiberglass. Corvettes don't rust. Well, they do,
Ah, yes.
because the frame, this has a heavy frame in it. It's a boxed frame, and they're notorious for having rust problems if they were driven in all kinds of weather, bad weather. This car, fortunately, has never had a spot of rust on the frame. It's one of the things I noticed when I
Right.
first bought it. The frame was completely dry. As a matter of fact, when I rebuilt the suspension, the brakes, and all, mechanically rebuilt the car, I was amazed that every fastener I went to remove on the frame and suspension came off without a bit of trouble. No rusted fasteners at all.
Okay.
So I'm really fortunate with this car that it's.
Would one of
Never
the
had that.
reasons that the frame would be rusty is because everybody's just looking at the body? Hey, there's no rust on the body, so
Yeah.
and that gets into their mind, and they don't go any further.
That's true,
Whereas
yeah.
most metal-bodied cars, you would see the rust down on the rocker panel and
Yeah.
stuff, and say, well, since I'm down here, let me look further underneath. So.
Sure. That's very true. That's always been a problem with Corvettes. And, over the years, I've known many guys that have bought Corvettes just to find out later what they thought was a great deal. They discovered it had frame rust, and then they had serious issues to deal with.
Okay. And a roof. This has a convertible roof? Or?
It does. It has a convertible
Now, you could
top.
get a hard top for that? It was
Yes.
the hard top
removable-
was removable.
removable fiberglass hard top.
Was that an option?
That was
or-
an option.
Okay.
You could get the fiberglass hard top and the soft top. This car has only a soft top. At one time in its life, it had a hard top, and that's because, I know that because these were added, these are inserts where you would screw the hard top down
Okay.
to the body for cold
Okay.
weather use. I don't have it with it, but
And you do need a new roof, am I right? To be,
I'm in the process of rebuilding the convertible top. I'll go around and just show you
I know you
quickly.
asked me at one time to help you. I didn't, though.
This is where the
And so that's why
So
it's
don't
not done.
come to you for
It's-
help,
It's my
huh?
fault.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, there you go.
This is where the convertible top is stored, okay? This comes up. You bring up the back of the top, you bring it back down, latch it onto this deck. Now, I rebuilt the frame. I removed the frame from the body, rebuilt it, repainted it, put on new weather strip in. I still need to put the fabric over it, so that's
And it's all arm powered, right?
all manual, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting, the first glance when you see this, you think of the Fords back in the 50s with the retractable.
Oh, yeah,
and,
the
something
retractable
like this would move up
galaxies.
and, all that. So,
Yeah, very, very simple, basic. Now, the idea of this lid is you don't have an open well with a soft top with a boot like
right,
larger four-seat convertibles would have to cover that
looks
convertible
sportier.
frame. Yeah, it's a cleaner, sportier. Corvettes and Thunderbirds were very similar in that
Yeah.
respect.
Okay. Well, I think,
I also noticed, as soon as I saw it, I noticed the color scheme, which to me, like especially the interior, is not something I've really seen before. Is this pretty common?
No, again, it's an excellent question, Kendra. This color, turquoise, for the interior was a very rare selection. They offered 4 colors, red, black, silver blue, and turquoise. And by far the overwhelming number of Corvettes built had either red or black. Very few, I don't recall the actual number, but it's very low to have this turquoise interior. And that's one of the things that attracted me to the car in
Sure,
the first
yeah.
place, is the color combination. Now, as you can see, those side coves here, they, yeah, these originally would have been painted silver from the factory, or
okay,
Oh,
white
really?
to match the car.
all right.
But that was done to pick up on the interior color.
Yeah.
So it's not original, but it doesn't matter because it looks good. Same thing with these wheels.
Yeah, the
painted-
wheels are really, like
Yeah.
that sets it off to me with that
Yeah.
blue.
Yep.
That's
Turquoise.
a modification that I made to paint.
So you're saying that the
paint
wheels would have been silver?
They would have been black.
Oh, they would be
Yeah.
black, okay.
So, I mean, I like to think of it as as the car would have appeared in maybe 1962. I know it's a 59, as it would have appeared in 62 when people would have made a few minor
Personalized
custom,
it.
personalized,
Yeah.
yeah.
And finally, we did notice too the old inspection sticker too. I noticed that when I was
Yeah.
sitting in there, and when I got out, I looked at it, but that's neat.
Having the antique tag in Pennsylvania, you're not required to have the car inspected, which you should still always make sure the car's safe. You should never drive the car without having it checked out. But yeah, you don't have to have an inspection sticker, so I'm able to put a vintage sticker on there.
That's cool.
It's real cool.
I'm sure we'll think of 10 other things to ask
Yeah.
you once we get in the diner, but we had to stop before
Yeah.
we.
So let's go in and get another piece of cake.
All right. Excellent.
Okay, sounds good to
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got done talking about Joe's Corvette, which is mostly, original. And we're going to talk to another Corvette owner, too, about
Right.
originality.
Right.
So in our museum, too, we have pieces that are mainly original, and that, explains a little bit why some of our stuff looks a little
Old,
old, rough,
Rough, okay.
worn.
such as this
Yeah,
vehicle.
such as this one. This is the Hill car, and we could say a lot more about the Hill car than we have time for tonight. But basically, the Hill car was built in Fleetwood, maybe 1870s or so.
Yeah,
The dates
ish.
are really fuzzy on this car, mainly because the guy who built it was doing it for his own purpose. He didn't really wasn't interested in filing patents and wasn't interested in selling them. So we don't have terribly good dates on this, but you can see it's in pretty
Original shape.
original shape,
Yeah.
except the engine.
Okay.
Yeah, the
And I
engine is
understand
very
this is the third engine, I believe?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It started out as a steam car, a one-cylinder steam car, and later he changed it over to a two-cylinder steam car. He still wasn't happy, so it is now a gasoline car,
Right.
as it is now.
Engine.
And to my understanding, that engine, the gasoline one, was put in about the 1920s at some
Okay.
time. That's my understanding. So technically, the car's not original because it doesn't have that original engine. But we don't have the original engine,
Right.
first of all, so why change it? It's part of the history. He
Correct.
built it for this car.
Right.
It just happened to be about 40 years after he built the rest of it.
And she mentions about the engine got put in the 20s, you said? It was installed in the 20s. And I think this engine goes back quite a, distance
Yeah.
before that too, because it's kind of an odd, old-fashioned style there. But it is a unique car. And you look at different parts of it, like not household parts, but, these wheels probably came off of a horse-drawn buggy.
Buggy.
Back then, and the steering wheel is actually from a sewing machine, I believe, and just a lot of interesting little things like that. But the historic value of the whole car,
Right.
goes back to the
Right.
1870s.
And you'll see stuff here that has marks in it or scratches, gouges, and some of that is because of how the piece was used, when its owners had it, trucks with scraped up bumpers
Right.
and, worn at the hinges and stuff because they were opening for deliveries and things like that. And we don't really like to change that because it's part of the history. Now, if it's something that maybe we did by accident, that's a different story.
Right.
But yeah, if that's how it was used, that's part of its history.
Right.
And we do have a lot of cars that are 1970s restorations,
Right.
which typically have their own issues.
Yeah, they
too.
do.
And then we get into a discussion about that. How much of that stuff do we want to fix? How much of that is actually its own record of what 1970s restorations are like?
Good point.
I
I wasn't even thinking that
So
direction.
we're talking a lot about tonight, what do you change? What do you keep the same? Is it worth keeping stuff the same if it's a safety issue or whatever? And we deal with that too here. with
Right.
Almost everything pretty much
But
here.
like this car, this is not going anywhere. We're not going to be
No.
driving this down the
No.
highway, obviously.
No.
But
And really, I mean, if we went in here and repainted it and fixed some of the chips in the wood and all that, redid the upholstery, it would look silly.
It would.
It wouldn't make any sense.
Yep.
So, you know, we go back and forth about that. And I know I read in your notes somewhere, museum quality.
Right.
I like that because we want to, at the end of the day, what we want to do is tell about the piece's history, and to start messing with some of that interferes.
And that's all part of the preservation and conserving and that sort of stuff. And last month we touched on that too, with polishing things and cleaning and all that. That all goes part of it. And you really, we could talk a lot about it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a whole show in itself.
Oh yeah.
So, but actually, at this point right now, I think we're going to go talk to our other Corvette owner.
Right.
So yeah, let's go back to the diner and do that.
Okay, good. Okay, we're just sitting here, Kendra and I, we're looking at some pictures here. We just saw Joe's Corvette out there. We had a great explanation about it. When we had our diner day, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he mentioned about a Corvette he just bought. And it's a really neat Corvette, and he sent a bunch of pictures, and so we're going to go through the pictures with him, and he's going to explain about the story behind it and such. And so Mark, you're on. So this is Mark. He's from upstate Pennsylvania. He wishes he could be from here, or be here to show off his Corvette, but it's a little kind of far. You're what, about 3 hours from here?
Yeah, about 2.5 to 3 hours.
2.5 to 3 hours. Okay.
It's our first call-in viewer, or
First
call-in guest.
Yeah, call-in guest.
First call-in guest.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
no pressure, Mark.
It's
Okay.
an honor.
Okay. So right now, we're looking at picture number 1, and for you viewers out there, we're just going to call picture number 1 or whatever number. It seems kind of different to me, but that's
You'll be
the best
seeing
way.
it on
Yeah.
the
So,
screen.
so anyway, we're looking at picture number 1 here, and I understand you have a set of these pictures too. And we're looking at a barn here. Tell me about that barn.
Okay, that barn, it sits up on a hill behind the house. And, well, first let me tell you about this car. I heard rumors about this car for a few years back. And every time I'd ride by this house and this barn, I'd wonder, is there really a car in there or not, But you don't just like to walk up to people's houses without, announcing yourself first. Up here, you never know what you're going to find, a dog, a gun, or whatever.
Right.
So I kind of just let it go. And then one day at work, a good friend of mine, who you see in some of the pictures, he called me up. I work for a pretty good-sized company, but I happened to be in the shop by myself one afternoon. He calls me up and he says, "Hey, you interested in buying a Corvette?" And I said, "Well, not really today. I didn't wake up with that on my mind, but anyway, we had a bad connection on our phone, so I said, I'll call you back later when I get done working." So he hangs up the phone and I start working. I'm working and I'm thinking more and more and more about what's he talking about. Well, I couldn't concentrate on work anymore. He says, "That's enough. I'm going home." So I figured, instead of going home, I'm going to Kevin's house. Well, I pull up in his yard, and he's standing there laughing because he knew that I'd come over to see him. He says, "Hey, right down the road, I heard there's a 58 or 59 Corvette for sale. You interested?" I says, "Let's go look." So we called the woman up, and she didn't mind because we heard that it was finally going to be for sale. So over we went, and we started walking up this walkway. You can see the kind of pathway going up the hill. Well, that particular day, when we were walking up there, that door with the board leaning against it was open about, maybe halfway.
Okay.
Nobody else was around. And as I walk up over the corner, I look in there, and there I see the headlight and half of the tooth grill. I said, "You got to be kidding me." I says, "It's a 56 or 7, my 2 favorite years." I said, "This can't be true." So we open the barn door and go in and look around, and sure enough, it's a 56. So that's where it's been housed for 42 years. As you see it there, you can see they're doing work on the doors, and you'll see some other work on some of the walls there because they're afraid the barn's going to fall down.
Now this whole thing is pretty cool because Mark and I go together at Hershey every year, talking to the viewers here, and we always are kidding about these barn find cars, and by golly, you found one. So
Yeah, it's been a big joke for us for the last couple of years because
Yep.
everything you seem to see is a barn find.
right, but you got
So Dan and I are always laughing about that. Well, this is certainly a barn find.
so yeah, you got the genuine thing.
That's a genuine thing. So that is a little bit of history behind picture number 1 there.
So you go to get the car, and just I'm looking at picture 2 here. The door's open. You're standing there. What are your feelings? I mean, were you nervous, excited, or?
Well, since the first day that I went up and looked at the car, probably about a month has gone by, maybe a little bit more, because we were kind of in negotiation whether I was going to buy the car. There was somebody else that found out about the car, and they were bidding on the car. So we had a little bit of a bidding war. And behind this door to the left there, that brand new door,
Right.
there sits it's a Model T. Does that make sense? Like a heavier
Okay, a truck,
truck, yeah.
right?
So a guy had come up to look at that and said, "Oh, I know a guy that'll be interested in that Corvette." So right off the bat there, kind of like a little bit of a bidding war.
Right.
Well, anyway, I guess I bid a little bit more than he did. So this is the day that we actually came to pick up the car, and I got to tell you, it's a cold day, but it's perfect because there's really very little snow on the ground, and if it had been any warmer, it would have been all mud.
Right.
And
Right.
about 2 days after we picked this up, the snow fell and never stopped falling for us to winter. You know what kind of winter we had?
You probably still have snow up there, right?
No.
No.
We
Okay.
got some more, they're talking.
Okay. So,
You never know up here. So, but anyway, right there, that's the first, we saw the car that day, and the fellow that's opening the door is the son-in-law to the guy who used to own the car, who passed away about a year and a half ago, I guess.
okay.
Well, one thing here, the son-in-law told me he was married to this guy's daughter for 3 years before he ever knew the car existed.
Wow.
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 It
And
really
so the
was
guy
kept
just-
hidden.
He backed it up in there and kind of forgot about it.
Wow. So yeah, it kind of makes you wonder what else is in barns all over the place like that
Yeah.
that people forgot about. So.
Oh, I
Amazing
know.
you
Every
can.
time I ride by a barn or a garage that I can see hasn't been open for a long time, you always wonder what's in there.
Oh
what's
yeah.
in there.
Yep. Yep. So,
But this guy's got a bunch of other stuff, some John Deere tractors, hit and miss engines and stuff that are still there. So, but that's another story.
yeah. So we're looking at picture 3 here. There's this kid to the right of it. Is he like the next generation, or did he just kind of hang out?
He would be the grandson, the son to the fella right there.
Right. Right.
He's the kid who wrote high on the windshield that his father was really mad at him about right down there.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Yeah. I
He says some people like these cars with the dirt and everything on them. He says, "What are you going right down the windshield for?"
yeah.
But the kid really didn't care too much about the car, so for whatever reason, the family decided they were just going to let it go.
Okay. And I guess you're pretty glad at that, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
the guy
yeah.
had 3 daughters, and they all remember riding in it when they're very small.
Mm-hmm.
But since they're not all that old, of course, the car sat for 42 years, so
Yeah. Right.
they were very, very young when they rode in it.
Okay. So now we're looking at what. Tell me the condition of the car. I mean, it looks in great condition. You try to look past all the dirt and stuff. How is the condition? Obviously, there's no rust on the body.
No, there's no rust on the body at all. Isn't that amazing?
It's still fiberglass. Okay.
Actually, the body itself is excellent.
Right.
It's very good shape. On the frame, there's a few rust spots, one in the very back and one on the side that's got to be fixed.
Okay.
Now, I'm told that's very common with these old Corvettes that sit around for a long time.
So,
They get rust in the frame.
but you only
So
have just
I've
small.
already been looking up, parts and stuff like that, and I'm a welder myself at work, so any kind of framework and
Okay.
stuff like that I can weld myself, so that's not going to be an issue. But you can see that they were shoring up the roof in this barn. That's another reason he wanted me to get it out of there for winter. He says, "I don't know if this barn will survive a winter." Another
Wow.
one.
Okay.
So that's they were kind of hurried to get it out of there. There's tables and lawnmowers and all kinds of junk in front of it and behind it, and so this picture here is just after we opened the door, and the car has just barely seeing sunlight for the first time in a long time.
Wow. Okay.
Amazing.
So now it has good body on it, of course, and And you say there's minimal of rust on the frame. So is the chrome pretty good or
Well, if you look,
pitted?
the tooth grill is good. I think it'll clean up well. There's a few parts you'll see on the back around the tailpipes you're going to need replacing. And
Okay.
these, like the eyebrow parts here under the headlights,
Okay.
they're so-so. They may be able to be re-chromed. So for the most part, for sitting for that many years, I would expect worse. But
Right.
you know, like I say, some I can fix, some I'll have to replace, and we'll go from there.
Okay. All right. The interior. Now you told me a kind of interesting story about the seats and stuff. So how's that go?
When he backed it up in there, and you'll notice on a couple of pictures he's got snow tires on there. He put those on especially to back that up the hill.
Oh, okay.
Most people don't ever see Corvettes with snow tires on it. Well, that's why they're there. So, but when he backed it up in there, for whatever reason, he took the hubcaps off and he took the seats out. And he wrapped them all up and put them up away in another part of the barn. And
Okay.
when I took them down, the seats show very little wear on them, and the hubcaps themselves are unbelievable. They're like they've never been on a car.
And I think you said it looks like you could eat off of them like plates.
You could, and I think when we go to Hershey, I'm going to bring them, and when you have breakfast, I'm going to let you eat out on them.
All right.
Oh, right.
At the farmer's wife, right?
When we go to the farmer's wife,
Yeah.
exactly.
150
No, it's amazing the condition they're in. It's just phenomenal. He took them off, and you know. So,
Okay.
and I asked his widow. I said, "Why in the world did he just stop driving it?" And she said, "Well, he was afraid something was going to happen to it." I said, "Oh, okay.
Wow.
It is a car."
Yeah.
So, for whatever reason, he just decided in '72 that was the end of it. He backed it up in the barn, and
So,
that was it.
so what kind of mileage is on it?
34 and change.
34. Okay. And
So
16,
he really didn't
16
put a lot of
years.
miles on it either. What 16 years or so
Yeah.
that he drove it?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of willpower to just let a car like that sit there.
What was that?
Willpower to just let it sit there and not
Yeah, I
get the
don't know.
urge to drive it.
I guess after it was there for so long, you kind of forget about it.
Right.
I don't really know, but
You don't care
I
either.
understand he wouldn't like show it to anybody, or like I said, his son-in-law didn't even know it existed.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
So I don't know. The guy was very talented in a lot of things he did, but he would go from one thing to the next. He made cannons. He had a lathe. He made like full-size Civil War cannons, and little
Okay.
cannons you could put on your desk. And from what I understand, they all fired.
Okay.
Yeah, he must have 40 or 50 cannons around the house there, and they're all shapes and sizes. They're really neat, but
That's
he
just-
would make them, and then he went into these hit-and-miss engines, and he'd do them for a while. Then he went to the tractors, and I understand he even had a glider plane and everything, and this Corvette was one of his passions at one point in time that he either got tired of or
Moved on.
who knows.
New project.
I guess those cannons
Yeah.
were like the security that for his Corvette there.
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, that would be a story. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
hard to say.
okay. Now you had some people helping you here. How hard was it to get helpers, or were they really
Oh, you
eager?
gotta be kidding. They were asking me every day, when we get in the car, when we get in the car, when we get in the car.
So,
So,
yeah.
in the one picture, when we get to it, you'll see my good buddy Kevin. He's the one that got me involved in this when he called me.
Okay.
And then, of course, Denny's taking the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, hey, just take some pictures, so we have some kind of documentation. So he did a really good job, as you can see, going from, point A to point B.
Yeah.
And then another friend of mine, Brian, who couldn't make it that day, but he's helped out with other things. And all four of us, we all go to our church together, and then we all
Right.
have interest in Corvettes. So every year we go to Corvettes at Carlisle,
Right.
and
Right.
just like you and I go to Hershey,
Mhm.
and we just have a good time, And
Absolutely.
Kevin, he's looking for a mid-'60s car right now, so
Okay.
we're in the process of looking for one for him. So that he wants to restore.
So
of
you-
course, he wants the big block and all that stuff.
Okay.
So.
Now that brings up something you mentioned about the big block. What about changing this Corvette to make it more roadable, or are you still undecided that?
Everybody asks me that question. What am I going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. I'm not going to leave it sit the way you see it because
Right.
I don't care about dirt and stuff. I'd rather enjoy the car and take it out and drive it.
Right, right.
So do I drive it bone stock or stock as you can keep it, I should say? Or do I make some small improvements? Okay, I'll tell you what improvements I would like to make, which really I don't know if it would be a big deal or not.
Right.
It did not come with a radio, so I put a radio in it.
Okay.
But to put a radio in it, you have to cut a hole in the rear fender for the antenna.
Right, right.
All right, so there's something.
Uh-oh.
And also the coves that are, well, they call it Venetian red, but they look orange to me. I like the white in the coves.
Okay.
You know, if I was to have it redone, am I destroying the value by making those white? Which, you know, I would think the car looks nicer that way, but... So I don't really know what way to go. Do I beef up, you know, put the disc brakes on it or just drive it the way
Okay.
it is, you know?
I noticed it does have black walls, though. We
Well,
had a
It does
discussion
have,
about
It does have
that.
black walls, and now what it came with, I really don't know.
Mm-hmm,
I'm going to guess it came with black walls because going over the sheet, which I tried to, I told you yesterday to get it to send to you, and I couldn't do it.
Right.
I have the sheet of what the options were,
Mm-hmm.
and black walls was a couple extra dollars, and I don't think he spent that money.
Okay,
I mean, the
okay.
white walls would have been.
Mm-hmm.
So he had the hubcaps with the, which you can see the little bit of the orange rim and then the black walls.
Right, right.
So
Okay. So I'm kind of slowly going through these pictures here and just seeing different views of the car, and our
Right.
viewers, I guess, are looking at them too. And I'm looking at picture 12 now, and it's out of the barn, and now here's 13. You're getting ready to take it up on the trailer here, and
right about as you see picture 12 right there, we didn't get pictures of it, but the whole family came over, the three daughters and the wife and the grandkids and stuff, and they all got their picture taken by the car.
oh, okay,
Unfortunately, Denny didn't get he took a bunch of pictures of them with their cameras, but didn't take one with his camera.
ah, okay,
So I don't have a picture of the family with the car, which I wish I did. I thought it would have been neat. Which I'm sure I can still go back and get one from them.
so
But here on picture number 12 there, you see there's one piece of trim that's missing.
okay,
side
yep,
by the cove there.
at the bottom of the cove, right.
Yeah, he doesn't know whatever happened to that, but, you know, if that's the worst that I'm missing, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
No,
so,
not at all.
well, I think I could find a cove or a piece of trim like that. It might fit off of a '59 Corvette. So, right, Joe? So, so, okay. So this is fairly close to your house.
It's about 10 miles away.
10
that's
miles,
all.
okay, which up there in the country is nothing. So you have it just parked in at your property now.
Yeah,
And
as you see the last couple pictures with it on the trailer, right now it's still sitting on the trailer in the barn.
okay, but
Okay.
it's in the barn, protected from anything outside.
Oh,
You
yeah,
think
it's protected. It's well protected.
any animals living in it?
What's that?
Is there any animals living in it?
They're not at the present. I would
Really?
venture to guess at one time there might have been, looks like there was a squirrel or two because there's some nuts on the floor.
Okay, because I've heard stories about mice getting in there and ruining stuff,
Sure.
or building nests in places you don't expect
Oh,
them
yeah,
to.
I've had that with my rototiller and stuff. They chew the wires and all
Yeah.
that, and they had to get a whole new coil and all that nonsense. But I'll probably end up redoing the wiring and stuff on this anyway, I'm sure, after this, length of time.
Okay,
What we're hoping to do, and that's what we're doing a lot of research now, is take the body right off and go from there.
right.
So that seems to be the best way that I think of to do it. Like I say, we're doing research right now, how we go about doing that. Denny, who took the pictures, is a wizard on these computers. He can find anything anywhere.
Okay.
So every little thing he finds, he brings by and says, I think we can do this, that, and the other thing and stuff. So we're setting up like a plan to do it,
And you mentioned you go to Corvettes of Carlisle, so I'm sure you'll be searching around for that,
Oh,
for
absolutely.
parts, as well as Hershey too. So,
Seeing what they've got there. And I've got a guy about 5 miles from my house who rebuilds engines and stuff, and the guy's really good. So I've already been talking to him about the engine, telling him I don't want anything other than, just stock rebuilt, and, I just want it to run and be, something I can depend on.
Right.
Like tonight, we were going somewhere, my wife and I said, this would be a great night to go out with the Corvette, go to ice cream.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
That's what it's going to be, a car like that, you know, just to drive for ice cream or sundaes or something like that.
We are expecting this car at Dorrier Day on Labor Day weekend, by the way.
We'll see what year that.
So,
Yeah, you
Okay.
didn't specify the year there, Dan.
Yeah.
But it'll probably look like it does right now.
yeah, so that would be cool. So,
But it is a conversation piece.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've been telling people that you were going to be on the show and we were going to have pictures and the whole deal, and boy, everybody was excited. And we already talked about Joe's '59 Corvette, which is just sitting over here a few feet from us, and you know, kind of really unique, great cars out there. You know.
I
all
can't
over
wait
the
to see the show where I can see that car there, because you sent me that one picture, and that car
Right.
looks absolutely beautiful. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm hoping someday mine can look that good.
Yeah. Oh, it will. It will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful car he's got there.
Okay, well, that's about it. But the last thing, I looked at picture 24 here, and Mark, you saw my notes and you saw what I wrote for picture 24, and I said the best part, a smiling wife. So I'm thinking she supports you in this.
Well, she does. I think she thought I was a little bit crazy.
Well, she is right about that. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm a lot crazy. See, it wasn't too long before this. I had told her, we talked about, you know, getting another old car one day, because I have that pickup truck, you remember, still I'm working on.
Oh, yes, yes.
That 52 Chevy, that's all, you know.
Yep.
But that's going to take a back seat now to this.
Good.
This
Okay.
jumped in front. But I told her, I said, you know what? I said, the next old car we buy is going to be turnkey. Well,
Okay.
guess what?
Well,
That didn't work out.
yeah, okay. So,
I do have the keys, and I can put it in the ignition internal, but that doesn't do anything.
yeah, right, right.
But I'm surprised she really didn't give me much grief about it. She knew it was a car that would be, it's very rare. Mm-hmm. And anybody that I talk to at work or anything says, if you don't buy that car, you are absolutely crazy. So
Yeah.
I figure, well, everybody tells me the same thing. They says, there's no way in the world you can ever lose money on it if you
Right.
want to turn around and sell it, or
Right.
whatever you do with it, it's going to be, you know. So I don't really want to sell it. It's the kind of car I'd like to keep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thoughts right now. It's just a matter of what we do with it, you know, how we make it, you know, runnable.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but I'm sure, Dan, one day you'll be sitting behind the steering wheel. I'll let you drive it.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
good.
excellent.
I'm there. I'll come up and visit you even. So
What's that?
I'll come up and visit you for that. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe take it to Hershey or something.
Okay.
I don't know if it'd be a good weekend car, but you never know.
so
See, as this group of ours, we always talk about when we retire, buying Corvettes and cruising Route 66.
mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if I want to cruise Route 66 in a 56, but that might be a little too much. But at least it's a start.
You can cruise Route 6. So
I can cruise Route 6.
yeah, it's a lot
that's
closer to
right.
home up there. So
Yeah. Route
Okay.
6 we can cruise. See, I want to tell you one neat thing about when we were
Yeah.
taking it home. The town here has a little Chevy dealership. It's
Mm-hmm.
long gone now. It's I don't know, some kind of township thing or something like that.
Right.
But that's where the car was bought.
oh, okay.
Oh.
So we drove by it, and I says to Denny, I said, take your hat off. I said, this first time this car's been by the Chevy dealership in a long, long
How
time.
about that? Yeah.
And that's where it came from. And up here, I can't imagine back in 56 there was too many Corvettes sold.
I can't picture it there
Because
today.
even today, I talked to the people up in White Sox that are, you know, Chevy dealer. I asked them, you ever sell Corvettes? And she says, very, very few.
No.
So this is farm country, and it's pickup truck country, you know,
Right.
it's not Corvette country.
Right.
So there probably wasn't more than a handful sold out of that dealership, I'm guessing, especially back in those days.
Wow. Okay.
So it's kind of neat.
Very neat.
So
Okay then.
but that's pretty much the story behind it.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the phone, being on TV with us, and showing us this. And
Well,
I'm
thank
sure.
you for having me.
Sure. And remember, 158 days till Hershey.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
So that's
I'll
it.
start packing the Corvette right now.
Yeah, start packing now. Yeah.
I'll
Okay.
sit in the car, and you can hook it up to the truck and we'll ride down that way. How's that?
I'm there. Okay.
Okay, buddy.
Okay.
Kendra, thank you.
Hey, thanks for being on. Great story.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. What, Thursday or Friday night or something?
Something like that. I'll get back to you about it.
Yeah, let me know because I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, folks. Thanks again.
Thanks,
You're
Mark.
welcome. Yep.
All
Bye.
right, we'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, now we're at the end of the show. We saw a couple of fantastic Corvettes. We talked about the Hill car also. I think we had a pretty good show tonight.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
2 really neat car stories.
Absolutely, and you know the owners of each one of them. So it's pretty much time to say goodbye, and thanks for watching. And probably we'll be looking for you at our next event here at the museum, which is
Right,
what
the
again?
May 16th is our cruise in.
Okay,
So
right
I'll
over
be
there
there.
in our parking lot.
You'll be there, right?
I should be.
Yeah.
I'm not going to promise you anything.
Okay,
so I'll
fine.
try.
All right.
Okay. So thanks for watching.
All right, see you next month.